Hey guys, so today I want to go over with you one of the most basic movements of gymnastics in CrossFit. It is known as the back extension or the arch body position, and one of the reasons why it's so fundamental to all the gymnastics moves that we do is because it is used in most of the complex movements when kipping and when doing pull-ups or muscle-ups. Even in a handstand or walking handstand, the back extension or that arch body position is used to really help propel that athlete in whatever it is that they're doing from a gymnastics standpoint. So I want to go over with you some of the correct form on a back extension, as well as some of the progressions and a lot of the faults that we see as trainers as athletes become fatigued, so that you guys can watch out for those yourselves. So the back extension is really fundamental to CrossFit because it really works that idea of working the athlete from core to extremity, because it focuses on the posterior kinetic chain and really enforces that the athlete has to contract every portion of that posterior kinetic chain to be successful in the back extension. So it's a complement to the hollow hold, and it's one of the fundamental movements to move that athlete forward. As I said earlier, the back extension starts with the athlete laying flat on their stomach. It is a contraction, a full contraction of the posterior kinetic chain. So it's very important that to have good form, the athlete keeps their legs straight and their toes pointed while doing this movement. The athlete will then put their arms above their head so that their biceps are next to their ears and they're as in straight of a parallel position off the ground as possible. And then they will keep their head or their face in a neutral position, not arching it back to help pull their arms up, which is a common fault. And then not also a common fault is bending the elbows, because the athlete tries to shorten the plane in which they're having to lift. So they need to be very conscious of keeping everything as straight as possible. Also, a common fault will be if an athlete kind of flops as they're pulling themselves off the ground, instead of focusing on really contracting their glutes, their hamstrings, and their lats. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate a couple good back extensions. Pay close attention to my toes pointed, my legs straight, my arms straight, and my head in neutral position. I will then go ahead and demonstrate some of the faults where my neck is raised, where my arms might be bent, or where I failed to contract that posterior chain to lift my body all in one fluid movement. So that was 3 good back extensions. Here's an example of some of the faults that you could see. You will notice in that last couple, my feet did not leave the ground. When you're performing a back extension, you want to make sure that your chest leaves the ground every time, and that your quads also lift off the ground. Again, I'll show 2 good extensions. So next I'm going to go ahead and show some progressions. If you're not comfortable lifting both the front of your body and the back of your body at the same time, you can start by putting your hands next to your shoulders and trying to lift with your legs straight, your toes pointed, just your quads off the ground, and lifting the lower half of your body. When you do this, make sure that you keep your head in that neutral position, looking forward, not face down on the mat or not looking up. The next progression would be to go ahead and keep your legs on the ground and just work that back. So if you needed a partner, you could get a partner or a coach. They can help to hold your legs down. Otherwise, you can go ahead and try it yourself, laying flat on the ground, arms straight in front of you, head in neutral position, and lifting just your chest. Once you got that down, you can go ahead and challenge yourself by trying to rock in a hollow hold position and a back extension position. So you will go ahead and get in the top of your extension, and then you will slowly tilt your hips back and forth, pulling your quads off the ground and your chest off the ground, like this. If that's difficult for you to get the rhythm, you can have a coach or a friend help you by putting one of their hands underneath your legs on your quads and the other one on your back, and slowly helping you rotate back and forth. Or the opposite, have one hand underneath your shoulder and the other hand on top of your calf and help you to rotate that way. Once your muscle memory kicks in and you're able to perform that without the assistance, they can go ahead as you're rocking, pull their hands away and let you control the rock yourself. The final progression that I wanted to show you will help with some shoulder mobility and some flexibility. It requires the athlete to be in their hollow position, their back extension position. They're going to start with their hands above their head, just like they would when doing the back extensions, but they're going to hold in that top position as we did in the rock. They're going to take their hands from the top and they're going to move them in a straight line all the way back and put them as high as they can on their back. I'll go ahead and demonstrate this with my head in a neutral position in good form. Make sure when you're doing that, you're keeping your legs straight and your toes pointed, your arms as straight as possible for as long as possible, and pulling your hands as far up as you can on your back to open up that shoulder and to really create some mobility.